Hi everyone, this is lesson number 9, Tips for Visual Hierarchy. In this lesson, we're going to learn about what visual hierarchy actually is in a presentation and how do we use that to our benefit and how do we create that in our project presentation. So a visual hierarchy in a presentation is actually the choice of what is more important and what is less important. Based on that filter, this is how we present our information, the size of the images. So the most important images have the biggest size, the less important have the smaller size. Same thing with the symbols, text, and so on. The most important text is bigger, the less important is smaller. From my experience, it's the biggest challenge for students to choose what is more important than the other. But that's a very important tool to learn in life in general, but as an architect, more than that so, because we have to understand when do we show certain things and how do we show them. It's all based on visual rules, and we need to understand how to present our information based on their importance. So what is your compass, your north, your filter when you want to choose information based on their importance? So first of all, you choose only those materials that inspire and have the wow effect. This is always the most important thing. It could be a render, it could be a sketch, anything that for your own interpretation is the wow image. Then we choose the materials that have the ability to explain and illustrate our ideas in the most powerful and clear way, while all the rest of the informations are secondary players in our presentations. So only that makes the concept more clear or the insight more clear, this is the most important thing. And then we can add next to it some of the other materials or other images that are complementary to it. What usually helps if we want to establish those rules of hierarchy, we create degrees. We imagine that there is a primary degree, a secondary degree, and a third and a fourth degree. And then we create a list. What is the number 1? What is number 2? What is number 3? This is a very easy technique to understand, as if you're playing with forces. What is the main force? What is the secondary one? The things that are first degree and primary, those are the images or things that you show as the most biggest ones on your slide, but also if you have different images and different slides, they receive more volume than the others. So there is a hierarchy in the slide itself, how many images, what size of images do we see in the slide itself, but there's also the number of slides, the volume of slides that we are using to talk about a certain topic or a category. So if a category is the most important one, let's say inspiration and concept, then we use 7, 8 slides for that. If we talk about research, maybe 2 or 3 slides. So the volume of information that you're giving in your presentation shows the hierarchy that you have created of what is important, what is less important. So let's go through some examples of slides to see the differences between the visual hierarchy. So in this example here, you see that the most important image is the map with the green symbols. It's the greenery in a city, that green system, the organic system. And all the images underneath are the explanations of how a street can change based on that idea. So the most important thing is to see the overview of the structure. This is why the map is so big, and then the rest of the images and the rest of the diagrams are just complementary to it. Same thing on the other side. The biggest image is eventually the render on the bottom, and everything else supports it and explains how did we reach that moment. In some cases, we have just one big image on one slide, and then it's very simple to understand. This is the only image, and this is the most important thing. But sometimes we have slides where we put different images, 6 images or 4, and they have the same size. So what is the hierarchy here? We're basically saying there is no hierarchy. All of those maps and all of those elaborations, they're basically the same, and we have to consider them in the same way. So don't forget, whatever you choose as material to explain your project, it has to go through a filter of importances. How important is that as a topic, as a category, but also in the slide itself, how important is that to show in the same slide how big of a position and size do we give it. If a certain image has a very big importance, sometimes it is better to have one image only on the whole slide and put more slides in to show the rest, instead of handling different elements on the same slide and then it loses the importance. So try to figure out what is more important to you and give it its full potential on your presentation and slide.